we go. Everybody prepared?
Yeah.
There we go. Good morning. This is the meeting of the Trees and Green Infrastructure Committee here at City Hall on the second floor in the Commissioners' Room. Today is Friday, February 9th, 2024 at 10 a.m. I'm going to first call the meeting to order and record who's here. We have Bob here.
Here.
Susan.
Here?
Diana.
Here.
Myself as chair, and I'm ready to proceed. Okay, we did have two sets of minutes. We didn't get a chance at our last meeting. Our last meeting was actually in December, and we weren't able to approve the minutes at that time for the November 17th meeting, and also we have minutes for our last meeting for the meeting before, and now for the December meeting. So I was hoping that we could do that today. We've had this discussion 50 times about whether we can do it or not. I believe we can approve it.
How many members do you have?
Total, we have 7.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay, so if anybody want to make
So
a,
the November 17th ones you're trying to do now too, as well?
I was going to do them
think
both. I was going to do them
I
both
think I
unless
was
we
at
had a
that one,
problem.
wasn't I? I think I was, so I could make a motion to approve the November 17th minutes,
Okay,
right?
all right.
Okay.
A second on that? Or I can second it, right? I'm going to second it.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor of approving the November minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think we got it.
Now, but on the December, I can't because I wasn't here.
I can, I was here.
I was here too.
Okay. You want to do it? Make a motion to
Yeah,
approve?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 8th.
Okay,
And I second.
okay, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wow, we're doing great. Okay, all right. So anyway, there is a minor correction on the December minutes, which I've noted, so not to worry. All right, as far as I know, we haven't received any correspondence, so I thought I'd just launch ahead with our agenda for old business. The first item is something we try to do on a quarterly basis, and this would be the quarter ending December of 2023. Just keeping an update on the composition, I guess, of the Commemorative Tree Program activity, or whatever. So, and this
Okay.
is usually Susan's.
Yeah, well, and I got an email from Lynn Cohn right on target at the first week of January, and of course, we didn't have our January meeting, so I'm reporting it now, but as you say, this is as of fourth quarter 2023. And that is, in the fourth quarter, there were three new donations totaling $2,350. There were 2 $1,000 donations and 1 $350 donation.
Wow.
So those actually came in all in November. So I assume that means we didn't get any in December, and I think there've been, just based on a leaf I saw, I think there's been at least one so far this year as well. But anyway, for the total as of year end 2023 is $61,135, and that's the makeup of that is 104 donations, 104 individual donations.
So.
And I guess if we're on the topic of Commemorative Tree Program activity, I do want to point out that at the time Liz left, we still did not have an update from her or a report on what trees were planted this fall using Commemorative Tree Fund money. I mean, I know I'm very, and I think all of us should be very sensitive about that, since people are donating for that purpose. You know, what are we spending it on? Her plan was to, because there was no citywide project to incorporate them into, as there had been the year before, her plan was to do street trees. You know, that citizens can request street trees, the city will do them free and all that. She had a list of street trees she was going to do, but at the time she left, I did not, and I think some of them may have been done, but I didn't get a list, and I still feel like that is an open issue, that we really need to know what was planted in the fall, or even, you know, all of last year, you know, what was planted using the commemorative tree money. I feel like we're missing some information there.
Okay. And
Do we know what is in that account right now?
I don't,
Okay.
actually, no, I don't.
I mean, we're just related. The mayor and commissioners are in the process of our budget discussions and negotiations and so forth. So we'll be looking at that, and hopefully I can get some, ask questions specifically about, what's to be done. As far as I know, and I haven't really been told one way or the other, but if they're hiring for a new city arborist or not, I mean, my expectation is that they will if they haven't begun already. But I knew there was going to be some personnel adjustments with regard to timing of certain hires and so forth. So I can find that out and hopefully report it. I don't know about our next meeting because we're going to talk about that in a minute. But anyway, to be continued on this topic. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts? Okay. I'm going to thank you. I'm going to move on to. Well, I don't know if we had any more. I left it on the agenda,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
No, I mean, I think what we need there is, well, we have to have the information for the mapping. We have to have the
Yeah.
locations for the trees in order to do the map. And again, as I said before, I don't have those.
Yeah.
And Andrea and I had been working on the tour, and she's been away, so there's
Right.
nothing to report there.
That's okay. Let's put that down. All right, and then I'll share about our experience of having our Ivy Eradication Project at Deauville Beach on January the 13th, 2024. We bumped that up a week from when we originally scheduled due to the storm that was approaching, and there was another storm approaching the following week, but it kind of didn't really materialize like we thought, and it actually turned out to be a really great day, and we had members of this group here. Diana was there, and Katie stopped by with her dog to cheer us on, but anyway, we had a lot. I don't have an exact head count, but I'm going to say it was pretty close to, I think, 20 people. At least. And I would think at least that, the issue there was primarily work had been done there before, and there were trees that had like a lot of dead material in them, but the ivy had been cut back and was surrounding the tree, but it was, we didn't have any situation where there was like really bad ivy in certain places, but generally speaking, there's like a lot of fallen limbs and stuff. It just really hadn't been attended to, and I would say over the course of about 2.5 to 3. I think we started kind of wrapping things up after about 2.5 hours. But with 20 people, you can get a lot done, and it looks pretty good over there, And now it's unfortunate in a way because I'll just mention that our reasons for choosing Deauville was primarily. We do have a crew, or we have a part-time person that does more of this sort of thing over the course of the summer season and things like that. And but Deauville, because it's actually a state property, I think historically Liz sort of felt it as sort of a lower priority because she wanted to attend to other things that were, more. It's her call, and anyway, so Deauville kind of was sort of less impactful, I think. But our concern was that may be true, but it does get a lot of exposure. There are a lot of people go there. They kind of feel like it's well regarded within the city by both not only our visitors but also residents, that they like Deauville Beach and that area, and it not only attracts people going to the beach but also people going to the courts that are there and that kind of stuff. So I think that was our main reason for selecting it, and I think it looks a lot better. And we got a lot of it, I mean, we ended up basically piling up a lot of these tree branches and things like that, and the city came and they picked them up, and then I had my little trailer, which had a whole bunch of brush and stuff in it that we piled up and kind of compressed, and we got rid of that. So anyway, I just thought it was a nice experience, and the people that came were like happy to do it. It was just kind of, it was like kind of an invigorating kind of experience. And I think one thing that I think the city could do well is if they could somehow harness the enthusiasm and energy of the volunteers that we have here, primarily people who have retired here, even though we're all old and gray, we can still lift a rake and a shovel, and pruners and stuff. So anyway, I was very encouraged by the whole experience, and I think a lot of people got a lot out of it. And I think in the future, if we want to do something like that again, I think we got some experience. I've got a nice list of people, and these are also folks, by the way, that some live in town, some do not live in town, but they're still happy to come in here and contribute. So I thought it was pretty cool. So. That's my story. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to move on. We have two items of new business. One in particular, I felt like we needed to address. Well, two of them we need to address, but more pertinently, next month, and you heard it here first, folks. At our next scheduled meeting in March, on March the 8th, Friday, March the 8th. We have invited a gentleman from Denrec, Bill McAvoy, who is a botanist, horticulturist, whatever. I'm not sure of his title exactly, but we can fill you in on that. But he's going to be giving a lecture about sedges, which is, I think, another way to say grasses. Yeah, but it's a subset of what we consider grasses, I think. Right. But I think the focus of his discussion is going to be about alternatives to what everybody thinks of as a lawn, and how that will maybe be in light of climate change and rainfall changes and beach environment and so forth. That is something I think we've talked about this before in previous discussions, but I think it continues to be pertinent and of interest to people. And I think the more you know about it, the more you consider it. I'll add, there was a discussion that I attended this week at another venue where my wife works at Hillwood in D.C., and it was by a landscape designer who does pretty much everything with gravel, and I mean planting like as you would expect a garden to be, but it all involves basically stripping out. It's like removing the lawn component from a garden. So
Plants are planted in gravel?
well, they're actually planted, and then gravel is put, like your primary plants and so forth are established, and then you build garden areas. Some of it is actually containerized or outlined in timbers or whatever, but there's very, very little grass of the lawn. Let's put it that way, lawn. There are grasses, there are long, let to not be cut, so they're like longer stemmed and so forth. But it was very striking, so I'm just saying that aesthetic, it can look, casual, it can look fancy, it can look formal, but it's still, and I think, and the idea is, in this particular case, that it doesn't require watering or maybe to some degree, but not very much, and not need, it isn't going to have like the water requirements of other kind of, formal gardens and so forth. So anyway, but I'm hoping Mr. McAvoy will be able to present information that I think we're all going to find valuable. So,
Well, it's a good follow-up to the Law and Alternatives lecture that was done in the
right.
fall of '22, a very good follow-up. And, as we've talked about, the two previous educational programs that we've done have been very, very successful. I mean, Doug Talame, was standing room only here. Of course, he's sort of a rock star in that field. I mean, he'll get more people here than Wayne Newton would get,
yeah.
I'm sure.
We'll see.
And the second lecture was the woman from, one from Sussex County and one from University of Delaware, and it was also well attended. It wasn't standing room only, but I would say there were probably 50 people here. But as I told you, Mike, I'm delighted that Bill McAvoy came through today with his bio and a description. I feel like we're running very short on time, and we really need a plan for how we're going to publicize this, because we're running short of time.
Yeah, so, well, we're gonna, I know that a new lines in the sand just got issued today, I think, yesterday, I forget what. And hopefully she'll be doing one shortly, and we're gonna try to maybe get two placements in that, maybe, or more. I'm gonna talk to Lynn after our meeting. And then I'm gonna see about, if you all can think of other ways of maybe getting the word out. I was gonna put something on next door, but,
Well, the RBHA has a board meeting tomorrow morning, so I
Okay.
can bring it up. And last time, in fact, I noticed that was on one of the materials I think that I had gotten from Elise. We did a constant contact email to members for the one in the fall of '22. So I'd like to think that the person on the board that does the constant contact would be willing to do that again. And I don't know what time frame we did it in before, or whether we did it more than once, but at any rate, RBHA should be a good resource there.
Okay,
So I
well,
think
that sounds good.
between Lines in the Sand, RBHA, and Next Door, we may have it. And I assume we could send something to the Cape Gazette publishes free, just little notices.
I thought there was something, like a community
But
notice or
that
something.
needs to go from the city, I think.
Yeah, okay.
So
Do
there's,
you know that at all? They do any kind of like community, just a small blurb?
We generally aren't in the community calendar,
Yeah,
but if you're holding a meeting, a blurb goes in, about
Yeah.
this big.
yeah.
Yeah, that's because I send an agenda over to them,
Oh, okay.
and then that's how they generate that little blurb.
Excuse me. Okay, well, I'll get with you if just,
so then, in that case, speaking of that, so that means our agenda then for the March meeting will be solely that. We
Right.
won't have any other business, right?
Right.
It'll be solely that lecture, okay.
Yeah, the only thing that would do is call the meeting to order, take a roll call, and then go right into.
Right,
yeah,
yeah,
And then do an adjournment.
yeah.
right.
But we could like approve our minutes or something like that if we wanted. Yeah,
We could, that'd probably be about all we'd want to do, I think.
right. I didn't expect we couldn't do anything.
And the way we've done it before is the committee members have sat up here, which is a little daunting in a way, because you're looking out and all these people sitting, we're sitting up here, but that's how we've done it, because it's a meeting, And then the speaker is there. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think, I'm not certain if.
And it is televised, just
Yeah,
like this meeting. is.
so people can see it
Yeah,
later.
it'll be live streamed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if Andrea's going to be back by now. I'm not
I don't, she indicated to me she was not at all sure, and I think unlikely to be back then.
Okay, all right, well, we'll see. But anyway, it'd be nice to get a good turnout from us,
It would, yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Don't know, but
yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
something to think about, yeah.
Spring break, yes.
Well, I think we're in firmer footing than we thought we were on yesterday, because we discovered that the dates got, in the communicating that we saw, we weren't sure that the guy had the right date, but he did have the right date, so we're
And he's provided a bio and a description, but
yeah,
and in fact, I will read the description he sent us. It says,
Okay.
Bill will be speaking on the representatives of the sedge family that are found growing naturally in Delaware and how many of those species can be used in the landscape, both in the garden and as an alternative to lawns. And I I just think we need more of a definition of what sedges are, because I think a lot of people just aren't familiar with the term.
Right,
You know, obviously, as you said, they're grasses.
Yeah.
But, and then maybe to include a few photographs in, I think we did that for the announcement that went out on RBHA for the last lecture. We included a few photographs.
Okay.
And I think it would be good to do that in, for this as well.
All right, so we're going to punch up the,
Yeah, bunch of the description. I can work on that.
the blurb. Okay. All right, and so the next topic for discussion that I have under new business, and I had touched on this before, and we've maybe brought it along a little bit more with the mayor and commissioners, but there are, I didn't really bring the materials, but not that they're critical, but we have, the city has committees, and we have commissions, and some are required by, both in terms of the city charter and all that kind of stuff. But we have these, committees can be formed, for informational purposes and, special projects and so forth. And just to give a little bit of background, this group, the Committee on Green Infrastructure, or Trees and Green Infrastructure, began as a mayor's advisory on trees. I think that's what it was called.
Mayor's Advisory Committee on Trees.
Committee on Trees, that was actually formed, I think, late in, I guess it was about 2016, maybe. It was. I remember it was Mayor Cooper was mayor at the time, and but prior to that, there was an organization, and I think the main impetus for this was we were leading up to, at least we thought we were leading up to, but it took a number of years after this. But we had made there were revisions that had been made to the actually a study, and then revisions to the tree ordinance, and done by the Planning Commission, and there were another organization that was basically just a grassroots organization that I don't even know if it had a specific name, that a tree group or tree committee or something like that, and of which I was a member of. I think, I don't know if you were a member of it or not, but and it was basically there to this, I would call it an advocacy group, trying to develop interest in the topic and get people informed about what I don't think it was like so specific when the tree ordinance itself, or the workings of the tree ordinance, which had been at that time, and I'm sure it still does to some degree, but that it was kind of a unwieldy, difficult to understand a document that a lot of people were resistant to or didn't feel was serving the city very well, and all that kind of stuff. It had it's had its critics, but we bringing it up to date. We now have a revised ordinance. I don't know if there's been any real discussion about how effective or ineffective, or there's been criticism about it. I'm not really aware of that, but a lot of times there would be situations where there were trees that were cut down, and then the community is wondering why were they able to do that, and all that kind of stuff. There was a lot of those kind of situations and examples that took place over the years and so forth. So. Look, amazing! We have a visitor, a member.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, good.
to see you.
Nice to see you. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. Yeah. There's an agenda down here. I'll put it down there. We can pass that.
My meeting ran late today.
It's all right. Katie Downs, one of our members, just joined us. Thank you, Katie. We're actually on the last agenda topic. We're going to talk about, or at least I'm getting ready to talk about this thought to realign, I guess, some of the sitting committees. And I was given a brief history and getting a little long-winded talking about the creation of this group. And so anyway, there has been this committee, I think, going back, in some form since like I want to say 2016 or thereabouts. So, but the issue well, actually, this has sort of been driven by Commissioner Tony Sharp, that the city has these standing committees, of which we are one of, I think, 5 that are sort of under review, and a number of those committees are engaged if there's a particular issue or somebody brings up something that they want to talk about, or that's in the news or problematic or whatever. But in our case, we have sort of had a standing issues that we've been dealing with over the term, and some of those are maybe more related to city activities, and some maybe less so. Not that they're not appropriate or anything. I mean, I think generally our mission or focus has to do with just basically making people sort of aware of trees. We did not really get directly involved in the revision of the tree ordinance. I mean, we were asked and we provided comments and recommendations and so forth, but it wasn't like we were overseeing that process or anything like that. But the discussion that the mayor and commissioners, they are looking, their sort of interest has been to kind of make this more what they describe as top down, which is more directed by them than being necessarily directed by us. And not that I think that that's the case or not, but we do things. For example, we're organizing a lecture series for next month, and which is public information. It's helpful. I think it's relevant and timely and all those things, but it's not something that they suggested. It was something that we had done in the past and felt it was appropriate, and we kind of decided that. And I don't think they in any way feel like we shouldn't be doing this or anything, and it's not, but the fact that we have, it takes a good bit of staff time on the part of, Anne, for example, is here with us, for our meeting, and she's got many other things to deal with in addition to that, and that's just one more item, and then some of the committees. I mean, we have I think a pretty good track record in terms of, like, we have meetings most months. There's occasionally we may not not schedule one or have some kind of problem without doing that, but quite a number of these committees haven't met for a long time, and that kind of things. And so so the idea has been basically to consider whether or not they want to forego this, or maybe either in their terminology, sunset some of these committees, or maybe make some changes, in the way that we report to them and so forth, or to have a liaison. And this part of it has really not been firmed up or finalized yet, but she is talking about forming some kind of generalist committee that may involve us or some of us or whatever in the future, but it would include, and again, I'm only speaking about this in a very general way because we have not agreed to anything. It's basically a discussion. If you are interested in sort of what we've been talking about, you can go back to the previous 2 workshop meetings where we talked about it, and I believe it's on the agenda for some more. But anyway, I just want you all to kind of know that I think the possibility exists that we may cease having this committee in the form that it is and responds. Okay, And I have been sort of non-committal about this, and I'm just going to speak personally, that I wonder as well for the amount of effort that it takes and for, I think, what we feel like we should be doing or have felt as though we've been doing, and that's what I would like to get your thoughts and opinions about, is do we think this is an effective use of our time and effort and that benefits the city? And if we were to, let's say, shut this thing down as far as a standing city committee, would you be interested in continuing it in some fashion as a non-city committee? Which is something that I'm more or less thinking about, that I just feel that it would may be more effective for us just in terms of the kind of things that are still city supported or that we support things for the city. But there are obviously a number of organizations. I'll use this one as an example, Rehoboth and Bloom, which is strictly a volunteer organization. They, I think, certainly have an impact in the city, which especially during the plant growing season, when, and it beautifies the city. They have a lot of people that are involved in it, that are actively involved. It is actually part of Main Street. Main Street is obviously an organization in the city that promotes the commercial aspects of the city and also events and things like that. So they have gotten sort of help through that organization, but it's still a volunteer organization. They raise money, and that's actually another issue with regard to how the city functions with volunteer efforts, that have a budget, and it's not like we don't have a budget line, as far as I know, on the city. But we are here to sort of be interested and to report on the money that collects, and the Commemorative Tree Program, for example, the thing that Susan just spoke about, has accumulated, a sizable amount of money that the city can use, for purposes of beautification and replacing trees and all this other kind of stuff, and it's positive and helpful. But and we basically just are here to kind of report on that, just so the public can know about it, and maybe advise or draw attention to it so the public can respond to that or whatever. But I'm just wondering whether or not, I mean, we can sort of even continue even as for that as a topic, but I'm just wondering if it would be easier for us in that we wouldn't have to use the facilities here to meet, although we potentially could, I suppose, or maybe somewhere else in the building, or in our homes, or to have Zoom meetings, or some other form. We're kind of restricted by not having Zoom meetings, and it does. I think it's somewhat problematic because we travel, we're in different places. It's a whole heck of a lot easier to be able to assemble a meeting, and people are not. We can find a suitable meeting time, and we're not. We can still be in our PJs and still participate, but that's just one example, But I'm blabbering here. I'm just curious. I'd like to get your input and see what you think about this. But I would foresee. I'm just saying. I'm not reading any tea leaves or anything, but I feel like this committee, among several others, may be going away, so in their current form. So, and I'm interested, if you feel like I need to fight for this, I'm more than eager to, but I'm thinking we can be as effective, if not maybe even more effective, if we are not constrained by some of the things that we have to do with regard to having agended meetings and all that other kind of stuff that is part of the process of government, but it makes it difficult sometimes.
interested to hear what Susan might have to say.
Well, the one thing piece I was going to add to it is the Commemorative Tree Program is a city.
It's a city
act,
thing,
no
yeah,
matter what.
absolutely,
I mean,
yeah.
well, even if the committees go away and this committee goes away with the others or whatever,
Yeah,
that
I
doesn't,
didn't mean
that
to
doesn't,
imply that.
that doesn't do anything to take away the Commemorative Tree Program, because it's already being managed by the city. It was managed by us in the early days, but now it's completely managed by city staff.
Right.
So that would stay intact. That's not, I have very mixed feelings about the tree program. But I certainly see the challenges we have, both with getting a quorum for the meeting, the fact that we can only have one meeting a month, and it's at a fairly regular time and all that. There are a lot of restrictions placed on committees just because as a part of the government, as opposed to what a private organization could do. The minutes, the live meeting, as you mentioned, all of those
Yeah.
sort of slow us down
Yeah,
in a
right.
way. So
And
I
we
do
have-
get that.
yeah.
I do get that.
Yeah, and there's, FOIA requirements and things, not that
Right.
that's in any way a problem, but, if you have basically what I would consider a advocacy group, that is not organized to confront the city, but rather, organized to basically, support the city. I just think that it would just be easier to, get people to participate in. We wouldn't have to be so strict and stringent about the kinds of things we do, and be helpful in a lot of ways. And it's really about, harnessing the energy from the people who were involved and how best that they can do that. And I just feel, to a certain degree, we're somewhat constrained. And so that's kind of where my thinking has been. But I'm clearly, I think we got a good group here, and we could have a larger group. I think with people participating in some degree as much as you folks are.
Diana, yeah.
So,
The only thing I was going to say is that when we have volunteer things like we had the cleanup,
Yeah.
if somebody were to get hurt, we would have the protection of the city because it was a volunteer thing that if we didn't have that, if somebody were to get hurt, we might have liability
okay,
issues.
I think
that's
that's
the only thing I'm wondering about.
I don't think we got, when we organized that, I had a discussion with the city manager. The city has what they call umbrella coverage, it's not like.
That as outside of the city.
Right,
as
but I would say there are going to be situations, I'm sure, where we're going to need to get some approval if we're going to do, let's say, an event or something like that. And I think that goes, in certainly whatever, any of the other groups, just using, again, like Rehoboth and Bloom as an example. I don't know what the situation is, and I can certainly have that conversation,
But
but.
they were a group that has insurance because they were
Part of the ministry.
they're a charity.
Right, yep.
They're
Right,
under
they are their own
right,
charity as
yeah.
far
But
as I
if
know.
we're not, we'd just be a group unless we formed a,
Right.
unless we formed a
Right.
charity group ourselves.
Right.
Which takes some doing.
Right,
Right.
yeah, that is an interesting.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think we would need to clarify that, certainly.
Raise a good point there.
Um,
I will say that when it was the Mayor's Advisory Committee on Trees, and even when it was the group that you referred to before that, there were more people at most of the meetings. They weren't necessarily the same people, but
Yeah.
there were probably at least 10 at any of the meetings we had.
Right.
So, there was that.
And possibly more areas of interest or specific interests. And I just look at the things that I would be interested in dealing with is, related more or less to the kind of things that we're planning on having at the talk next month, but about alternatives. I'm very concerned about. I would say my interest first and foremost is about preserving Rehoboth Beach. That Rehoboth Beach needs to continue to be the place it is. It's knowing full well that it's going to change, and we have, forces at play, both in terms of weather, but economics and markets and all this other kind of stuff. But, you know, I think I think we all have a sort of a unique opinion or feeling about how, you know, a connection certainly to the city, and we want that to be preserved. And with regard to the fact that the city is I think somewhat unique in having the tree canopy it has for a coastal town is of great interest, and I appreciate it, and others do, of course. And you know, and we want to, that's sort of our area of concentration, but that can, you know, branch out and broaden to things like celebrating Arbor Day, and can branch out into with community cleanups and supporting certain activities or agendas, you know, to make that better or whatever. So, you know, it would require, I think, I mean, I think a larger organization can obviously do more, and I think so. That's why I'm sort of looking at it in that way. So I didn't really know if there was like anything we would decide on this, but I mean, I just basically thought you all ought to know, and if it comes to pass that you know, this organization gets sunsetted, I'll say right now, as far as I know, we are continuing on because we have things we have already planned, you know, and which I think next month is, after that's over, I'm not sure we do.
Well, we still have the loose ends of the tree tour and the mapping.
Yeah, and there are some other things that we could pursue, I think.
Right, and we always have the reporting on the commemorative tree and the plantings and that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
right,
Yeah.
so,
Although I agree that may not make full agendas for meetings.
Yeah,
You know, it's
right,
not gonna
right.
be, that may not be enough to sustain it.
right, so,
So.
although we'll be into Arbor Day season, I
Well,
guess. or
that's
something,
okay, we
you
have
know.
Arbor Day, right.
Right, but
Yes.
again, I think that can certainly
Yeah.
continue, whether this is a city organization or not.
One thing that I don't know if we would be able to get the speakers, you know, if we continue to do community outreach.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. If we continue to do community outreach by having lectures, I mean, we would probably have a better opportunity to get lecturers and be able to compensate, if we compensate the lecturers, by being part of the city.
Right, and again, that would be something that obviously has not been decided yet, but it's conceivable, I think, that in our discussions, that we may have city committees, and we may have like city-sponsored committees or some degree, like, for example, whatever committee this would become, I would be interested in being a member of it, you know, and I happen to be a city commissioner. But, and if that makes me a liaison, I don't know, you know, I don't know if we're gonna, you know, define it like that or not, but it doesn't have to be run by me, it can be run by somebody else, you know, and
Like you.
yeah, well, I'm just saying, it can be another group, you know, I mean, I'm a member of other groups, you know, so, so, but that organization would either have some kind of governance or maybe very little governance, or you know, it can be what it can be or wants to be. So, you know, but the fact that I would have some interest or association with it, I think the commissioners, I think, that would be part of that discussion as to, like, what do you want to do with this and what do you want to do with that, you know, because I would gather that there will be occasion that they will need groups to do primarily, I would say, like kind of either in interest, a particular area of interest, or a particular activity or project similar to the wastewater discussion that is still ongoing, but I don't know how often they're meeting now and that kind of thing. So, or it could be seasonal, or it could be some, it's open to determination. So, anyway, anybody else? Any other thoughts? I don't know if you have any on it.
So is there a time frame for just making a decision on this?
We're still working on it. I suspect it was on our previous agenda. I'm not sure if it's. I think we talked about it being on the next workshop. So it hasn't really gone to a regular meeting where we're like voting on anything. But I think we're moving in that direction. So I mean, right now we're kind of in the thick of budgeting, and that's sort of taken precedence. But we're dealing with it along with that.
Well, I mean, this is actually sort of, I guess, a segue to another agenda item about future agenda. If we already know that next month's meeting is going to be our lecture, and that's set, and in April we have Arbor Day, but the meeting will be before that, but that'll be like the last chance to plan Arbor Day will be the April meeting. So I'm assuming the focus of the April meeting would be Arbor Day.
Yeah.
Since it would be coming up
Okay,
right after
right,
that.
right.
So it sounds like for 2 months anyway, we have things on our plate.
Right.
And then by that point, maybe there'll be more known about.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I suppose this will be this will be a continued item. I think,
Right.
assuming we're going to have an opportunity to discuss it. But
So there are a number of committees that are going through this process.
All five of them, yeah, all five of the,
Okay.
of the,
we're not the only.
the not the commission, so, like, Planning Commission, Board of Adjustment, Parks and Shade Tree, those are commissions. But the committees are, let me see if I can get them all, Beach and Boardwalk, Streets and Transportation, Environment, us, and animal issues.
Animal control.
Animal issues. So those are the ones that are,
So has there been some discussion about if this committee is dissolved, will they be absorbed into other commissions in some way?
Well,
The responsibilities, or certain responsibilities?
right.
Some would probably be just left go, and then others would need to be
Right
absorbed.
now, I think the way they're looking at it now is the fact that there will be another committee, maybe a 10-person committee that would incorporate certain people on it. Now, that is still kind of hazy in my mind as to who that would be and all that kind of stuff. But then in addition, Tony kind of envisioned this whole thing where we're going to have sort of spheres of groups that can be called upon by the commissioners. The whole idea is, like, right now, if you attend one of our regular meetings, there's an opportunity for the liaisons of various groups, well, actually, certain city departments report, and I could report every time we have a regular meeting about what we did, but for the sake of time, and I mean, in order to get, if we had like a discussion of everything that's sort of on the agenda potentially, it would probably take more than an hour. And then you get into like what you're doing. So like these meetings go on for like, 3, 4 or more hours, and it gets, I can take it. I was on the planning commission, I'm seasoned, but it's just really long for, not for the participants to endure, but for the public to endure and all this other kind of stuff. And you got to, anyway, it just gets to be a little much. So I was always of the understanding, and maybe this was me interpreting it, but unless I felt that the mayor commissioners, if we were working on something that they needed to know about, I would certainly report it. But I never felt like that was necessarily the case. We had our thing to do. They knew we were doing it, and it isn't like we're keeping it from them. They can watch the meetings, and we do distribute the minutes, and so they can read that kind of stuff. So it isn't like it's unknown to them, and on one occasion I might bring something up or whatever, but I think this group is somewhat unique in that we have something to do most of the time. We're working on something. The other ones sort of they'll have an issue that may bubble up or something, and they may discuss it, but then if they don't have anything to put on the agenda, then they don't meet, But we tend to have stuff to do, so, which is great, I think, so the fact that, and that's why I sort of preface this by saying, I think that could continue and should continue, but it may not be in the way we're doing it now, so that's my story.
And you're sticking to it.
So, all right, so anyway, it looks like we have delved into future meeting.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we
Yeah.
have a lot on our plate for the next couple months. anyway,
Yeah, I think so. So, any other
Thanks
comments?
for the
or-
background. That's good to know what the status is.
Yeah, right.
When is the lecture?
When is it?
We spent some time, but just before you got here, talking about that, because we just got some information from the speaker this morning. It's on March 8th, which is our next regular meeting date. So in this room, next month, Friday, 10 a.m.
At 10 o'clock, same time. And his discussion is about, he gave us kind of a blurb about himself and a little bit of a blurb about the.
Sedges, yeah.
I'll
Bill
share-
Bill
I'll
McAvoy,
share-
the
I'll-
state
Bill
botanist.
On Sedges.
On Sedges.
Yeah, I'll send it out to everybody. I just got it this morning. I didn't get a chance to send it out. But if you have anything to add or whatever, we need to. I'm planning on touching base with Lynn Cohen to promote this, and we got some other ways that we want to kind of promote it and get it out there. But that if there's anything relative to sedges that you can provide that makes that, what are sedges, and
Well,
I'm all ears. So
there is a, and Bill McAvoy might go over this, but Mount Cuba just recently, I think last year, released their trial garden data
okay,
on sedges.
right.
So there is a, online, there is the PDF booklet.
Oh, okay.
On what, I can't remember what that's called,
Okay.
that form that you can actually see the
Okay.
whole pamphlet. But it's on sedges, and it's a really great resource.
Okay,
It
we'll
goes
look at
through-
that, because I just want to have something, if we need some pictures or something like that,
Oh.
just to have it, because,
Yeah, we can get those easily
yeah,
enough.
so,
Yeah.
we'll do it.
What type of, any type of pictures of, like blue bunnies?
Well, he
or
was
bunny
talking
blues?
about the carex.
Carex?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the
Genus.
genus of,
For all of them?
for most sedges.
Okay, all right, well, yeah, that's the only specifics he gave us.
Carex
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Okay,
Just looking at the,
That's probably what he'll spend his time
all right.
speaking about, or
Okay.
carex.
And I can check with him too, if he's got some stuff.
Yeah.
But that was really, we need to, things going to happen
Trial Carrick's for the
in a
Mid-Atlantic
month, so, we want to get multiple promotion of it, in various forms to notify the public to come and attend.
yeah, so is this a research report on carex, what you're talking about?
That's correct.
Yeah, here it is, yeah, on the Mount Cuba site, right, okay.
Okay.
Carex for the Mid-Atlantic region, yeah, got it, okay.
That's good, okay, great.
And if you wanted to reach out to the gentleman who was the research analyst at Mount Cuba for the Carex program that was put on, His name is Sam Hoadley.
What's the last name?
Hoadley?
Hoadley?
I think it's Hoadley.
Okay. Yeah.
And he gave a presentation last year on, through Mount Cuba,
Okay,
on Carrick's,
Yeah.
on the
cool.
Carrick's.
Yeah.
That's good.
I've met their director.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, but it's been a while, but anyway, okay. All right, well, no citizens here, so we have a citizen
Okay.
comment. So I look forward to hopefully seeing you all next month, and I'll be in contact, and I'll send this other information out with everybody, but I'm looking to adjourn this meeting. Are we okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Do
with
I
me.
need a motion?
At,
Oh, I will. It's at 10:55.
Yep.
We have therefore adjourned. Thank you.